Carousel. This is Leonard Raven, the artistic director of Summer Lyric Theater, and this is our new Summer Lyric and Lore podcast. And also, it's going to be an episode because they share interesting material to the Sacred Nine Project podcast as well. And today we have my longtime friend Melissa Marshall. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. So we just started yesterday. We started our rehearsals for Carousel, and Carousel is interesting for for Sacred Nine Project too, because Sacred Nine Project always deals with sort of older American music and the problematic ways that we have to navigate things. But let's talk about our production right now. So first, a little background. You were one of my first artistic partners in this town because you and I did Brigadoon together as the two leads, and I think it was 97.
We had to mention dates, but that's okay. Yeah, I think we were both, 12 years old?
We were 12. I think it was 12. 11 or 12.
Prodigies. We were child prodigies. Yes, I remember. And actually, Brigadoon's one of my favorite shows, too. I've always had a lot. All of my shows here have been something about each of them stood out to me. And I had such a great time with you, and it was just a beautiful production. I think Brigadoon was great.
Thank you. Me too. Me too. So tell me, is this your first Carousel?
No.
I didn't think it was. Can you tell us about your other Carousel?
Yes, this is actually my third Carousel that I'm doing. My first Carousel was when I was a student at Loyola, and I played Julie Jordan. And funny enough, my buddy Chris Carey, who I've done a lot of shows here at Summer Lyric and around town, was my Billy Bigelow back then. So,
wow.
And again, I was very young, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first Carousel when I did Julie, and then my second Carousel was actually here at Summer Lyric, and I played Julie Jordan again, and I just I love this musical. The music alone, just the very beginning with the overture playing the Carousel, it's just gorgeous. It's just beautiful stuff. So it is one of my favorite shows. And funny little thing that happened this time is Diane Lala, who's our director, who is another longtime dear friend of mine, calls me after all the auditions had happened, and I was joking, and she says, I want to offer you a role. And I just went, Julie Jordan. And without missing a beat, you're too old. Only one of my dearest true friends can get away with that. So she says, no, she says, I think it's time. Your voice has grown. I think it's time to move into Nettie. And I said, I'll take it. I love Nettie Fowler. She's got some of the most iconic music too, and beautiful songs.
Absolutely. So how does it feel though, now that we've had a day of rehearsal, how does it feel moving into this other role?
I have to say, last night we worked on June is Busting Out All Over. And, you know, her other song, You'll Never Walk Alone, I've sung a million times. So I feel like we're going to work on it again before the show, and I'm going to feel more comfortable with it. But I felt like I had a grasp on it. And last night I sang that one for the first time. And the first few measures that came, I was like, ooh, can I do this? This is a big voice, big sing, big shoes to fill, you know? And I'm moving from more of the ingenue music into something heavier. And at first I was like, that didn't sound good. I can't do that. And then the more that we did it, the more I just got into the character and the music, and remembered the music, and remember to, you know, the voice has changed. It's gotten bigger. And I said, just go for it. Leonard's got your back. You know, he's going to tell you what's good and what's not good. And I started having so much fun, and now I can't get it out of my head. The two, I've been singing it all day. So, yeah.
Yeah, so good. And arguably you do have the best song in the show, which is You'll Never Walk Alone. It's like the Climb Every Mountain of this show. It's just like the universal anthem for the show. That's fabulous.
I have to say, I feel very blessed being able to sing that in the show, and just lucky because it is such a beautiful piece. I wish it was longer, but then we would be all
Yeah.
crying there for days, but no, it's perfect the way that it's written, and it's just it comes back at the end, so which is really good. But
Yeah.
I just hope I do it justice. It's just really a beautiful
I
song.
know you'll do it justice. You're a
Oh,
fabulous singer and actress. So
oh,
you
I
got
hope
it
to.
all down. Talk to me about, of course, when we first decided to do this role, I knew that we had our work cut out for us because a lot of people just don't even touch this show anymore because of the domestic violence. And I have to say that I wanted to do it so bad because, my wheelhouse is the old traditional musical. And this is one that I've never been in or conducted. And I thought, well, let's look at it. So I read the script, and from hearing people talk about it, I just thought that it must be the case that everybody, Julie, of course, is excusing the abuse, and then everybody else is also excusing the abuse. Like, oh, that's great, but that's not true. Her friends are like, what the hell's going on here?
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, this actually happens in the world, in life, and so let's talk about it. So, do you have any takes on the sort of domestic stuff happening?
So I'll admit I was very surprised when I heard that we would be doing Carousel at Summer Lyric. Um, being on the steering committee, jokingly, they always say, "Well, what do you want to see at Summer Lyric?" I was like, "Well, I'm going to tell you what I want to do," you know. And I adore Carousel, but I was very surprised because of the way the world is shifting, the way we're thinking, and having voices now against certain topics and themes. Um, when we did it way back when, the first few couple of times, we just did it. It wasn't,
Yeah.
we knew the theme was not inappropriate. It was just it was sad and it was wrong, but we just did it and we just handled it that way. I do remember walking away from that one scene of when I had played Julie during the You'll Never Walk Alone. And it was so emotional. It was so difficult for me that I would have a headache at the end of each show, but I was always so really really sad. I had to walk away, take a moment, and I realized, wow, that's something that no one should ever have to go through. And they do go through that. Now we're seeing that from a different perspective, and we're seeing this is a sensitive subject. Um, it does exist. I've seen it on many different levels in my life and my friend's life and all that kind of stuff. And I like we talked about it last night in the rehearsal, and we had our director Diane came in and talked to us about it, and we had a speaker that also you'll have to remind me the organization that she's with, but it was fantastic what she said to us last
Yeah.
night. That I think ignoring it is wrong. I think it does exist, and I think not doing this musical because of it would be a mistake.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion. And so I think what needs to be seen also, and I absolutely agree with, let's show that Billy isn't the heroic hero, that he does change at the end, but also he was the bad guy in this. What he did was not right. And if we can show that hopefully that will come across that by the end of the musical, if we can show that no, no, this is not accepted anymore. And her friends saw it, and Nettie's there trying to help her through it, and Carrie's there trying to help her through it. Everyone sees what he did. It's not wrong, but perhaps he was saved at the end because he knew what he did was wrong. It is hard because the way that it's written, it could be like, well, it's accepted. It's not. It's not.
No.
And I think if we can show it from that point of view, that it did happen and that it wasn't right. But Julie loves him so much.
Yeah.
And the sad part is that there are many people who are in that situation who are in love so much that will put up with anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what one thing Julia was saying, Julia is from our Title IX office at Tulane, so that's why we invited her, and she was making the point too that there's also organizations in town here in New Orleans that work with the perpetrators to see if the cycle with them can be broken. And so we
Mm-hmm.
see that in the show, Billy, I mean, he wants to be good, but then at the end he slaps his daughter's hand. It's like he hasn't gotten the help, that he
That's
needs.
all he knows.
That's all. Yeah, that's all he knows. And so,
And
mm, go ahead.
perhaps without delving too much into that, perhaps that happened to him as a kid, and that's what he grew up with, and he only knew that. So it's a bit of a cycle until we get to a certain point where people are like, no, that's not right. You can't do that. And and maybe I don't know. This is looking into his character. Maybe he took it as a child, but Louise, his daughter, is now is like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And she
Yes.
runs
Yes.
away.
You said something earlier about how we've shifted over the years, our thinking and our way of addressing things. And I remember back in the early 2000s, we did the Mikado, and we never even thought a thing about it. I mean, we just did it, and it's ha ha, he, tee hee, ha ha. And you know, the thing is, with almost any musical you choose, even modern ones, there's a minefield to walk through. With various lines that happen. I mean, and the first two shows this summer, I mean, there was uh, lines that were just like, ooh, ouch. And the thing is, you can't go through and change. I don't even think it's legal, frankly, to change all the lines. So it's just, you have to kind of like choose your battles. But I
Mhm.
bring this up because I'm curious, when you did Julie the last time, and that really cringe line comes up, how is it possible somebody can hit you and it feels like a kiss or it doesn't hurt or whatever? Now, how did that feel at the time to you? Do you
So
remember how it felt to say that line at the time?
the first time I did it, I was in college. So I wanted to please everybody. So I just did what I was told to do. And then the second time when I started and I did it at Summer Lyric, and I thought to myself, well, I have a voice about certain things, but then Michael Howard was directing, and I'm gonna, he was an amazing, and I learned a lot from him. But I'm, not gonna question Mr. Howard. But at the same, so that's the second time I did it. I noticed when I say things that are kind of cringy, I, you act it, you give it the best that you can deliver it. But something, it's a weird thing to explain. This something in my stomach just did a turnover, and I was just like, that's just so weird to say, because it's not something I would say. I'd be like, no, yes, I loved him, but he hurt me. It is a cringy line. I think it's a line that you have to just find different ways to say it nowadays. Back then, I say way back then when I did it, you said it. You just said it the way that it was written. You said that it was within the scene, within the moment, and you do it very movingly. I think finding now, if I was to do it now, I think find a different way to say it to where it means it shows a lot more behind the line,
Yeah,
if that
you
makes sense.
are.
Like,
Yes, you are
but
right. You and I are right on the same page, because I was thinking, and I've been talking with Diane, like, how can we keep the line in perfectly intact, but it
mhm,
doesn't mean what it used to mean? So
right, it
maybe
has to different
Louise hits
meaning.
her with this question, her daughter hits her with this question, oh, it didn't even hurt or whatever. And then instead of, oh, yes, darling, it doesn't even hurt, she's blindsided by the question. She's not prepared to answer it right now. So
Mhm.
she just pauses with this look of, oh my gosh, I cannot let her go on thinking like this.
Mm-mm.
So at a certain time in the next few days, next few months, I'm going to sit her down. But right now, I'm going to just grit my teeth and just affirm what she's saying. But the
Exactly.
audience can see that there's a whole lot going on there.
Oh yeah, I think what's most important about that line, and again, that's just my opinion. I think there either needs to be a sigh and or complete. emotion on the face, a facial expression, to like you said, where the audience sees, uh-oh, this is not right. And she just says, I've just gotta, it's too heavy for my daughter to hear this right now, too heavy to go into details. But yeah, I think the line should stay, but I also think there needs to be a different inflection in it or a different emotion to it.
Well, for our audience, I tell this often, but when we did Candide and she was Cunegonde, and she sang the the iconic Glitter and Be Gay, Michael Howard, was not even the choreographer for the show, had her moving on every quarter note in the entire aria. Not only was she having to sing high E flats, but she was having to at one time it was kind of like an Egyptian, I don't know what it was, but it was just crazy.
It was so crazy. And like I said, I'm a people pleaser, and I just was like, okay, whatever you want me to do, just maybe not stand on my head because
Yeah.
I've never done that before while singing a high note, but running up and down the stairs. I think at one point he had my foot up and like my leg all the way up in the air. I tried to say, said, okay, we'll try it. Why not?
Yeah.
So
And you had your big
well,
beads and you were kind of swinging them
the
around.
beads were swinging around. I think at one point they got caught up all right because he gave me the longest pair of Mardi Gras beads pearl beads he could find, and that just kind of got wrapped all around me. And I thought, oh, but it was fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
much fun. Do
that
you
was
have
so
a
much.
do you have a favorite role? Oh, hold on. Your name came up on the podcast not long ago because we were trying to think. The first time I knew of you was my first season at Summer Lyric. The first show I did was '96, the first show of '96, and that was Bill Calhoun and Kiss Me Kate. I think that was his name. And then the second show, you were in Kismet that year.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah, but
I
we
do.
weren't in a show together that year. It was the next year we were in a show
It was the
together.
next year. But when did you do Little Abner?
That would have been like a little bit later. I was actually
Oh,
no, I was employed here at the time. So this was like in the early 2000s by then.
we did do something before Lil Abner because when I came back, I was seeing you in the pit, but then I saw you again on stage, which I was really excited to see up there
But what you
again.
mean us together or just me on stage? Or are you and I together?
We were together before that, right?
Yeah, we were. Oh yeah, for sure.
We did
Yeah,
that, but then
Brigadoon, and then Phantom was 2002, and that was my first summer employed here as the conductor. But he didn't want me to do all three shows in a row,
so he put
so
you in
because it was too
Phantom.
much. So
Now
I was in that middle show.
that's
Do you
right.
have a favorite show you've done at Summer Lyric?
Like I said, each one of them had something different from me. Like when I did a little night music with Frank Monachino,
Ah,
and the time period's my favorite, the turn of the century. It was just beautiful. The costumes were amazing. They had cars on stage. It was just really, so I love that. Doing Carousel was special to me because of the music. I love the music. Um, Candide, I got to sing Glitter and Be Gay. Each one of them meant something different to me, but I
yeah.
have to say, probably one of my favorite roles was Camelot when I did Guinevere.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
Guinevere.
loved it so much. It had great music. It was a lot of dialogue, but somehow we pulled it off. And
Yeah,
I don't know, it's hard because they asked I bought one of the seat plaques, and they said, "Well, what show do you want to put under there?" And I went, "I don't know." And they said, "Pick your
hmm.
favorite." And I said, I can't." So they just have my name because I couldn't pick my favorite. But I always kind of go back towards, because I'm like you, I'm a golden age girl. So all my teaching,
Yeah,
I can help you. I'm teaching them different genres, but the golden age is just, I guess that's where my voice lends mostly to, golden age and pre-contemporary.
yeah,
But I love the
yeah,
golden age, and so I'm just thinking more, and that's what I did the majority here. And I think I lean towards Carousel and Camelot. Um, it's because like I said, each one of them that I've done has been so great. Brigadoon, this it was
yeah,
like we were watching an MGM movie. I mean, the way that
yeah.
he had it done, directed, was just beautiful, and I love Scotland. And at the time, I don't know if I ever told you this, but at the time, my roommate in college in New York City was from Scotland. So
Oh,
I literally was getting on the plane and I had her record all of my dialogue with her accent so that I could learn it for the show. Yeah.
oh, sweet,
That was
sweet.
fun. That was
Well,
fun. So,
another show that I actually the show that when somebody asked me what was your favorite show to conduct here,
mhm.
again, I have a lot of favorites, but for some reason, the one that it really sticks out the most, you were also the lead in, and that's Oklahoma.
Oh, yes, Oklahoma. That was one of my last shows before I moved to Germany. And that's another one. I'll be honest with you, when I had heard that you were thinking of doing a golden age, and it was kind of like between we were talking between Carousel and Oklahoma, I said, well, both of them have some really dark themes to it. I
Yes,
can't
right.
imagine, I didn't think you were going to do either of those, but I thought maybe it would go more towards Oklahoma. But we did kind of, that was one of the last big major Rogers and Hammerstein that we did, I think, right? I think so.
Um,
Have we
I
done
surely we've done since then.
what we've done since
Why
then?
can't I, why can't I think? Oh, we've done South Pacific. Even
Yeah.
since then, I think.
Yes.
But
Yes,
I'm not
that's
even sure.
true.
It
That's
all
true.
it all kind of runs together
It,
in
it
some,
does.
you know.
It does. But I was very happy to hear about Carousel. But Oklahoma, that was another one of my absolute favorites. And you were conducting that. And I one of my favorite things, okay, I have to say I love the rehearsal period of any show. I have so much fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
memorizing, a lot of work, but it is one of my favorite periods. But the Sitzprobe has to be
Mm,
the most exciting part of the rehearsal process too, because it's the first time you're hearing with the orchestra, the first time. And a favorite thing of mine to do is when I'm on stage, I don't really see the audience because you've got those lights and you kind of, I'm at home when I'm on it, but when I'm on stage, I'm just at home and I look down and I can see you looking at me. And that's
oh,
the biggest support that I think
oh.
you can get. Because I know you're busy down there, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, but I love it. I was telling them yesterday, some of them are not, they don't really know me yet. Maybe this is the first time we've actually worked together. And I just said, look, my thing is I'm not the conductor who is like, this is my tempo and you better be watching. I try to stay out of the way and only like make you look at me when there's no other option. It's
Right.
something that's so unwieldy with the orchestra that you have to look at me. But otherwise, I'm just watching you breathe and trying to like, get you through
Follow.
it on your own terms. Yeah.
No, no, and it's great, and it's like when you're it's a different like I said, you're busy down there, you're hurting all of the musicians in a good way. I don't mean that disrespectfully, but in a good way, you've got all those fantastic musicians down there, and you're also paying attention to the cues, the dialogue, to where the music needs to start, where it comes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And what we're doing up there is we're trying to remember our lines, our blocking. Don't forget, hopefully, you got your technique when you're singing. What does my body need to do for this note? What does it need to do? Where do I need to place it? All that kind of stuff. But it's great that we've got our eyes on you and listening and listening. And at any moment, if I feel like that doesn't sound or feel like the right beat, where am I? And I look at you. And
Yeah.
I know I can always get back on if something feels a little weird or a little off. So,
Yes, that's great. Thank you. And
oh,
actually, you and I have got to go to rehearsal. So,
we're about ready to sing.
yeah. So we better say goodbye. Melissa, thank you for doing this. This has been
Thank
great.
you. Thank you for asking me. This was wonderful.